Hey, everybody, it's Jim Johnson, your host with Contractor Radio, with another amazing episode that's focused on helping you, the contractor, the home service guy out there that is in hand-to-hand combat each and every day and each and every week, helping homeowners solve their problems and beautify their homes. I'm excited about our guest today. I love talking technology. Some of you may know that I had some involvement in technology prior to getting into coaching as the founder here at Contractor Coach Pro. So I have an affinity for it. I always like to stay on the cutting edge of things. And we have an awesome guest that is absolutely on the cutting edge of things, especially for you guys that do roofing. We'll talk about that today. But before we do, we got to keep those lights on. So we're going to play a little message from one of our sponsors.
The Atlas Pro Plus Contractor Program is designed to help you build your business. It gives you tools and resources, training, industry insights, bonus structures, technical knowledge, the brand power and science of 3M Scotchgard, and what we think is the best product and warranty in the industry. Become part of the family that is succeeding and growing their businesses.
We went from nobody ever heard of us to the #1 roofing company in our region.
And we've gone from 12 roofs a year to 20, 35, and we did over 400 last year.
We're on track right now to do 1,000 roofs this year.
You'll begin earning Atlas bucks and rewards as you move up to even greater reward levels. Become an Atlas Pro today.
So one of the things we always talk about in our coaching is how do we differentiate ourselves from everybody else? And that's why we have partnered with Atlas, and they're one of our sponsors. They do help you become different as a contractor out there in your market. So if you haven't checked them out before, get with your local rep and find out a little bit more about how Atlas will make you different than the other contractors out there. Speaking of being different, we're always looking for those things that give us this unique tool or this unique ability to separate ourselves from the competition. It could be a proprietary sales system. It could be something unique that you're doing in your marketing, and it could be something that you offer on your website. And so today we're bringing in the president of Roofle.com. I believe that's a new addition to his titles. He's done a lot in this industry. Travis Harvego, welcome aboard to Contractor Radio. Great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim. I really appreciate you having me on today and talking about, Roofle and Wolf Quilt Pro. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get into it because we actually had you guys. You were a sponsor of our mission conference, and we go through and we help a lot of contractors build out their mission for the coming year. And I got to talk with you a little bit more. And I kind of had an idea of what Roofle.com was because the actual founder of it, I guess, is the way to think about it. Maybe the guy with the big, bright idea. His name's Joe Hoffman, and he was one of my clients at AccuLinks whenever I was in the software world. And the one thing I know about Joe is he's an absolute sponge for information. And he's always like trying to get the edge on the next guy out there and stay ahead of the curve. And so this Roofle thing is kind of a natural thing for him. It's kind of cool to know a guy from more than 10 years ago starting to do some things like this. So bring us up to speed. What's your background and how did you get here and kind of how did Roofle become a thing?
Yeah, so Joe Hoffman Over Construction. I worked for him over Hoffman Over Construction for about 10 years. So I basically started with him as like a canvasser, like door knocker, worked my way up into, project management, sales management, production management, and then general management, so kind of worked my way up the ladder all the way from kind of the bottom all the way up to the top, which is kind of pretty rare in this industry. Most guys like to jump around all the time and grass is always greener over here. But, working for Joe, he's a very innovative guy and he's always put great processes in place and success in place for his employees. So like you have a path to success, like you reach these milestones, these goals, like these are the next positions that you can go to. So he's always been very, very good about, keeping his employees and keeping everybody happy. So he's been someone great to work for. And so, I was on the leadership team with them. So there's 5 of us on the leadership team over there at Hoffman Over Construction. And we were thinking about the next way to be innovative. And we actually went to a conference. It was and we wanted to present some great idea that we had. It was to do with virtual reality. And we lost to somebody who did a disc assessment. And we were so devastated because we had the most amazing idea out there. Like, how does somebody beat us on something that's so old? And this is so new and innovative. Like, we're talking like the VR goggles, right? Like, and so we lost. Like, so what is, like, we're innovative. Like we were like, so what's the next biggest thing to come to the industry, right? So we go back and we look at it and we say, okay, 5 years ago we had paper files, right? And everything was in a paper file. And then we have CRMs. Like everybody has a CRM now, right? Years ago, no, some people did, some people didn't. And we look at measurements. We used to have to hand measure everything, and now we have aerial measurements. There's nobody hand measuring roofs anymore, right? So there's so many things that have evolved throughout the roofing space in the last 5 to 10 years that we're thinking about, like, what's the next biggest thing to come? And we're like, the in-person sale, right? And how is that transaction going to look, down the road? We look at like cars, right? You look at things like Carvana that came out where people can go online now and buy their car and have it shipped to their house, or even like AutoTrader. Like, who goes to a car lot anymore and goes and looks at cars? No, you find a car, you go there, you buy it, or you just buy it online. So like the consumer doesn't have as much time anymore. So they have to have convenience. And also when we have, the younger generation coming up, let's be honest, they don't like humans, right? They just want to be able to interact with, technology, and they love technology. So just looking at the in-person sale, we said, okay, let's look at e-commerce in the roofing space and what does that look like? So that was the idea on a whiteboard back in 2019. We started whiteboarding, like, what does this look like? How could we go and sell direct to consumer without having like a sales rep in the house? And so we whiteboarded it and we said, okay, let's do it. Like, I think we can do this. Let's do it. So we started building it. And then we launched it July of 2020, right in the middle of COVID. Right. And so it was kind of like,
timing was pretty good.
They were like, you planned this. I'm like, no, we really did not plan this. Like, we started building this thing 8 months.
You're the ones that planted the virus. Okay. Now we know. We finally pinned it down.
Everyone was blaming us for the virus. Like, you guys wanted this because this is what you were doing. Yeah. It just happened to be pure coincidence,
Now I got to go back and look where Joe was traveling to back in like November of 2019.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we launched right at that time. And so again, we were selling direct to consumer. That's what Roofle.com was. That's the concept behind Roofle, was going direct to consumer. So we launched our website. We built out all the possible tools for the consumer to go online and be able to get their roof. So anything from an instant estimate to getting, their final price, their final quote, visualizers, everything possible on there that they needed to do to be able to buy their roof online. So when they did that, they went there, they entered their address, right? They got the instant quote. If they liked what they saw, they went to the kind of the next steps, the checkout process. They're able to go through a visualizer, upload a picture of their house, all these different things to where they can say, okay, I feel comfortable with being able to buy this roof online. So that's what we did for about 2.5 years. And behind that was basically proof of concept to say, is the consumer ready to buy their roof online? So we looked at all the data and we say 70% of our business came between 9 and midnight. So that says that the consumer, that's when they're available. And that's when they actually have time to actually sit down and say, hey, let's make this decision. So when you look at, years ago, one person probably worked in the household. Now both people work. They're busy, they have kids or whatever. So when they put the kids to bed, they're like, hey, what else can we do to get something done? Oh, we got to get this roof done. Well, let's see if we can do something online. So instead of going online, booking an appointment for a sales rep that they have no time for in their house, they can just buy it right there online and have that convenience. So that's what we did. We sold online. We worked with local contractors to facilitate the work. So we went out in every market that we went to. We went out and we found local contractors that were highly recommended from manufacturers and suppliers. We went out to them and said, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's the concept. And so they all loved it. They all loved the concept because essentially they were just getting sold jobs. They said, here's a sold job, go out and do it. Here's how much we're going to pay to do it. And they all loved the concept because, again, they were just getting sold jobs. They were sending crews out there and just going to get the work done. So we formed those great partnerships so that we were able to do it. So we did it online 2.5 years, did about $6 million in work. And again, we had no locations. We all remote. We had nobody on the ground. Everything was all digital online. So
was somebody meeting like in a virtual, like a Zoom meeting or FaceTime or something like that with these folks to facilitate the conversations?
Yeah. So when it came down to like finalizing their price, they essentially had a choice to basically, we did 2 different A/B tests. We said, do they want to be able to put their credit card in and make a down payment, or do they want to finalize an order with somebody like over a Zoom meeting? So we did both ways. So I would say 90% of the people did want to have that Zoom meeting just to confirm a couple of things. That's where they felt more comfortable. So yeah, they were able to either book a time for later, or as long as it was, I think we had our people working until about 10 o'clock at night, that they were able to jump on and have that Zoom meeting right then and there and say, okay, here's what you got. Here's all the information. Here's everything. Here's the timeline. Like, give them all the expectations. And so they had everything that said, okay, let's move forward. This was just so easy. We were able to do it. So that was like the roadmap. And that was like what we built out to say, e-commerce is a thing in this space and people love it and they're willing to do it. And now, again, we were brand new. We had no reviews, right? Like we were essentially like a no-name contractor, right? And people were like, hey, we'll do it because we just love the concept. We love the ability to be able to come here and be able to buy online and with the convenience of what we're doing. And then we gave them access to a customer portal, which was next level, to where they were able to track everything in real time, like from delivery, orders, trucks on the way, it's been delivered, you're on the schedule, crew's gonna be there this day. Like we set everything up so that they were very transparent with what everything was going on, so they knew exactly a timeline as far as what was happening. So like they didn't have to call us, they logged into their portal and they had the updates right there in real time with everything that we were doing. So the clarity to the homeowner as far as what's going on was big, because they never met us. I mean, they met somebody over Zoom, but I mean, they never really met us in their house. So with giving them that access, and then also as we were doing the projects, we were taking photos, some cases videos that we were getting uploaded in real time, so they could see exactly what was going on throughout the process. So it was transparency was really the biggest thing. And that was kind of really what we valued ourselves on, was like, we're going to show you our customer experience. So when you hire us, here's what you're getting. Like, here's the experience that you're going to get. So that was a big thing that we did too. That's what we preach to a lot of contractors too. As we talk about, Roofle Pro is kind of our experience. Like, this is what we did. This is what we learned. So we want to pass the information on to you. So we did that. And then, so we said, okay, all right, the proof of concept is there. We've done this. And we said, okay, let's release this to contractors. And really what triggered that sooner rather than later was I was at a conference in April, and there was some companies there talking about what their future was. And they were like, we're going to look at generating leads and selling jobs and then give them to you as the contractor. And the room exploded. Like, the contractors were all upset. They were like, I can't even believe that they're telling us this. And so someone stepped up and said, hey, Roofle's already doing this, guys. And they're like, wait, what? They are? So then after that, there was 20 to 30 contractors that came up to me and said, hey, we need what you have. And what's that going to take to get it? And so I was like, made a quick call to Joe. And I said, as of today, we are starting production on getting this in the contractors' hands. So by the next day, we are working on taking the technology and basically white labeling everything so that we can put it on their website. So that's where the start of Roofle Pro started, was at that moment in time when that demand was there. And they're like, hey, we need this because we see what's happening in the future. That was really what triggered it. Like, we need to do it immediately, because we then knew that there's other people in the space that are looking to do this. Like Angie, right? So Angie Roofing, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, Angie has a roofing company now, right? Which they kept that hidden for a couple of years, I believe, or a year or whatever. But, Angie is selling direct to consumer now, right? So Angie is there doing similar things where they're able to buy right online, right? But then they're also selling all their recycled 20 contractor leads to you that they've already kind of went through and had the opportunity to sell. So
yeah, we missed them. We'll sell them to you.
Right. Exactly. We couldn't sell them, so you can go ahead and have them, right? So there's other people in the space that were looking at doing it. And essentially, so then we launched Roofle Pro in September. So September was our soft launch. We started, building it in April, and then in September we did our soft launch. We basically had, I think it was 68 contractors at that point signed up, but basically it's like a pre-sale when we launched it, just to learn from them as we launched it, like get the bugs worked out, things like that. So we launched it for about 2 months, and then November 1st was our actual hard launch, as far as like, launching the product to contractors. So with that, we basically said, we took the technology that we built, and now we are embedding it onto contractors' websites. So
can it do all the same things, like the tracking? Like, hey, you came in as a lead, we met with you on, maybe online, maybe you put your credit card in, you actually did decide to go with us, and so the tracking part of that, is that in there too?
So that's part of our roadmap. So when we built this out and we look at contracting or roofing, right, in this space, we say, what are roofers ready for? So if I go to a roofer today and say, hey, here's all the e-commerce tools, let's go do it, they're gonna be like, you're crazy. Like, we're not ready for this, right? So it all starts with contractors, first off, knowing like what their numbers are. So if you ask a contractor and you say, what's your price per square? Most of them would say, I have no idea. Like, I don't know, right? So they have to be able to know that. So we're releasing this, and there's 6 different phases that we're going to release this in. So the first step is the instant quote part of it. So we release the instant quote part of it, and that's the part right now that's available to contractors, is the instant quote. And then we move to the next level, which is going to be like payments or finance. So in January, we're releasing finance. And that's the next piece, to where we're working with finance partners, to where the homeowner can get essentially pre-approved with their finance company right there through our technology. So by the time that lead or contact comes in, that homeowner is already pre-approved. So to answer your question, not quite yet are all the pieces there. It's on the roadmap, but we have to work towards it so that we can walk the contractor towards like this, the cycle, the evolution of what this is. Because if we release it all, they're going to be overwhelmed and say, nope, not doing it. No, there's too many pieces here, right? So we knew that. So we said, let's release it in phases. And slowly we work towards essentially the end, being that basically no touch or video conference, whatever, where you're selling jobs on your website that's working for you 24 hours a day.
That's pretty darn cool. This is, in all honesty, it's something that I was thinking about before the pandemic thing. I went, hey, you mentioned the company Carvana, right? Like, hey, you can buy a car that's $50,000-$60,000 online, which I sat there and went, would I do that? I don't know if I would. But Carvana makes a guarantee, right? They say, hey, if the car shows up and it's not what you expect it to be, send it back. Mm-hmm. So that gives you a bit of confidence that you might not have otherwise. But they're making, 5-figure sales online. We're used to Amazon, a 2-figure sale to $19 or $25, maybe a 3-figure sale, $100 or something like that. But these bigger purchases are starting to be something that we're more likely to do as long as we have the right information. It sounds like you guys are providing that. How has the reception so far been? Like, as you've put this Roof Quote Pro out, what are the results like? What's actually happening? They're putting it on their website. I look at it as like almost buying a widget for my website. I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy this widget for my website. How's it working for them so far?
Yeah. So again, it comes down to, educating the contractor on this process. And so that's the things that obviously that, we learn. And as we do this, right? So some contractors have taken this thing and have crushed it. Like we have a contractor who's generated over 800 leads, 800 contacts with using it because he did it the right way. And they do a lot of marketing.
September?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so he is pumping things to this site. And it comes out, he's got a great marketing department. They have the right ads out there. They're targeted. They're meant for conversions, like as far as, what they're looking for. So it really comes down to, again, like us taking the information that we're learning from these contractors and saying, okay, here's the successful people. So we need to take these bits and pieces and say, here you go. Here's what's going to make you successful to be able to make this thing work. But it does come down to, a lot of it is driving traffic to it and finding the right customers that are looking for some sort of instant quote. Because some customers are, they may not be. So you got to find the right traffic that wants to convert. But then we have other companies that are, say, storm companies, right? And they go out and knock doors or do mailers and they put QR codes on there, right? They leave a QR code on there. The homeowner scans it and then they get their instant quote by scanning a QR code that they've left at their door. And so we have a customer. Yeah, we have a customer who does storm, and he's at 100% sales rate as far as some things that he's done. As far as for the customers that have essentially did it and converted, and actually went through the whole process, he's closed 100% of them. So again,
I know you don't want to meet me. Click this QR code and get it figured out.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are there any limitations, like how many people can request a quote or anything like that? Like, it seems like there's some measurement technology behind this. Is it your technology? Are you guys leveraging another platform? Is there limitations to how many measurements I can get? Any of that kind of stuff?
No, there's no limitations on measurements. It's unlimited measurements that you can get or pull. It's our own technology. We're pulling from 7 different data sources that we're pulling from to get the data as far as the measurements. And we tested about 3,000 to 4,000, between 3,000 and 4,000 properties. And as far as comparing them to, say, an Eagle View, whatever you want to compare it to our measurements, we're about 96% accurate with our measurements. So pretty dang accurate as far as our measurements go. But there's no limitations as far as how many you can do. It's completely unlimited. So, and again, like that guy who's had 700 people come through it, like it's all the same price to us. We don't limit the number as far as how many quotes or how many instant estimates that you can generate, on your website.
That gets my mind going. So there's a bit of a trust but verify aspect of it too, right? Like, hey, we're going based off of the information that you've provided for us and the technology can generate for us. We need to verify that just to make sure it's accurate. So when this is what I've seen in the past from some of these, and so you tell me what your experience has been. Because it's not the only one that exists out there. There's companies that have done this for themselves, their own like proprietary version of it. And I've tested them to just go and play around with them, put in my address and stuff. And I get this quote back, and the quote's really low, right? Like it's really low. And I put in the stuff that I wanted and all that stuff, but I know what roofing prices are, and a roof that's 27,000 is coming in at 19. I'm going, all right, is there something shady going on there to just get the guy out in front? Are the people are they being accurate with their numbers and stuff like that? Is there any of that kind of stuff that you're seeing in what you're doing with Roofle?
No, for the most part, everyone is doing their, proper, price per square. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is be misleading to the homeowner in any sort of way. And what we allow in there, again, the contractor is fully in control of the products that they see. So we have over 800 different products in our database that they can choose from, that they can show the homeowner. Anything from asphalt roof to tile to metal to whatever it is in there that they can show the customer. But they're also setting their own prices. And so the last thing they want to be is misleading. Now, what we do allow in there is you put in there what's included in this price and then what's not included in this price. So as you put that in there, you're letting the homeowner know that as far as their expectation is like, here's what's included, but if you have X, Y, Z of these items, this price will change. So we do allow that in there. So every contractor is different as far as what they're going to allow, as far as what's included, what's not included. So that's a big piece of it, as far as like the homeowner understanding that, this quote right now currently is what we call a quick quote, or, an estimated quote, but these are some factors. If you have these, it may change this price. Now, as we go down the road to e-commerce, we release other features such as integrating with measurement companies that essentially give them their final measurements, essentially verified measurements, things like that. So typically they can wait a couple of minutes while they're going through, say, the checkout process or going through a visualizer, whatever they're doing, while everything else is running in the background to get like their final price to where it is verified, where they can go online. But again, that's a little bit down the road. Right now, we're really focused on them knowing their numbers, them being able to know what their prices are per square, them being able to enter it and be accurate so that the consumer can get more clarity as far as what is this going to cost. Because again, this is pretty much the only industry you can't go online and figure out what approximately it's going to cost. You have to have somebody in your home come out and tell you what this is going to cost. So again, by having that, it does one or two things. It's either going to eliminate the consumer who's not ready. Like they're like, no way more than I expected it was. I need 6 to 8 months. So don't even waste your time coming out here right now. Or the consumer that says, yes, that's what I was expecting, somewhere in that area. I really appreciate you giving me some sort of price because I've been online for 3 hours now and have found nothing. So I really, and that's what so many people tell us is like, people remember them when they come out to the house because they're like, wow, you're the guy who already kind of gave me some sort of price as far as what to expect. So again, it all comes down to how the contractor presents it, but I've not seen anything as of yet as far as anything that's out there like people, lowballing just to try to get into the home, because that could be even worse for them, where they could lowball it and then they go out there and like, whoa, this is $10,000 more than, what it was online. So everyone's been, as far as what I've seen, is very, very, precise with what their numbers are, because they want to be, realistic with the homeowner and they don't set that different expectation. So, but again, by having those options there, as far as letting them know clearly, if you have these items, expect to pay more.
So give me 3 things that contractors are doing that are making this Roof Quote Pro, which I love the name, by the way. I mean, come on, it ends with pro, kind of like Contractor Coach Pro. I don't have anything to do with it, no affiliation at all. I just like that you guys went with that kind of naming convention. But give me 3 things that if I'm going to do Roof Quote Pro and put it on my website, what are the 3 things that these contractors are doing that are getting it to be optimized?
Yeah, the biggest thing is number one, having landing pages. So we give you two different ways. You do either a slide out widget that lives on your site all the time, or you do the embedded version. So with the greatest success that we've seen has been with the embedded version. So you're creating landing pages, like your own custom landing pages that are designed to get conversions. So when they land on those pages, they're getting conversions directly on those pages. So that's one of the biggest things that we've seen as far as making those pages. And then a little piece right there too that we've also noticed is that when you do the embedded version, it is helping out with your SEO a little bit. So if we did a search for instant roof quote, we have seen some people that have our technology show up on like the first page of Google. So the embedded version, really does help out. And also, again, it's about conversions. The next thing is marketing. So how are you able to drive the traffic to your website? Now, some people can just get a bunch of organic traffic because they've been around a long time, that their name is well established, to where they can just get it naturally. And it just comes to them, just all the time. But really it comes down to being able to drive the traffic. We have to let the consumer know that this exists. Most consumers have no idea this exists, right? So we have to be able to get the word out there that this is a possibility, and that they have to know that it is real and that it is there. So that's the next biggest one is, getting the traffic there, having your pages set up so that you can get the conversions on there. And then the last thing is how you set up everything within your widget itself, as far as your pricing, the products that you offer, offering them the maximum number of products that we have. You can show up to 8. So it's really optimizing as far as that customer experience within inside of the widget itself, really tweaking those things. For example, showing financing. Like, we highly recommend that every contractor shows a price per month. Because a homeowner sees 20,000, they're like, yeah, no. But if you show them $200 a month, they're like, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It becomes a little bit more reasonable.
Right? So it's really working with our onboard specialist. We have an onboard specialist that helps you set up this technology, within your company, and just making sure that you have everything optimized as far as that customer experience when they actually get to this part of your page and they're going through it. Like, okay, I can see where this is reasonable. Yeah, let's go ahead and have this contractor come out, and give me this final quote, because I think that we can get this done for $2 a month. So those are really the 3 biggest factors that we've seen so far, is getting those things dialed in. And so with those, I think that people can be, very, very successful.
So now I know what kind of contractor, like if I'm listening to this show today, driving around, getting some windshield time, getting some information for improving my game, I should probably have those 3 things at least as a resource for me. We know how to generate leads. What are you finding? Like, it shifts back and forth from like social media, especially with Facebook, but some Instagram and stuff like that, and Google, like SEO and that side of stuff. Are people having better results like running Facebook ads to it? Or are they having better results focusing on the Google side of things? Or have you noticed?
I think it's been kind of 50-50. And again, it really comes down to being ad specifics. We've seen some very good ads that have been very, very good because of the verbiage that they use. Like, I think somebody used a verbiage one time that was, get your quote in 26 seconds. I don't know where he came up with it, but it was highly successful. I don't know. So it was under 30, right? So it really comes down to the verbiage and the wording that they use on these ads to get the customer to be like, what's this? Like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, so let me go and check this out. This is interesting, right? So it's all about however you're getting their attention, right? So Facebook's gonna be people scrolling, right? They're scrolling like, that's interesting. Let me click on that, right? They go there, they check it out. Google's a different audience, right? It's direct searches. They're going there for a reason to search for this, right? So I think we've seen it really both ways. It just really comes down to how you market it and how that you're going to come across to that consumer, because it's going to be a total different ad from Google to Facebook. And the companies obviously that we've seen be more successful, they're very creative in those ways.
Yeah, one of the things as I was looking at this type of thing from back in the CRM days, right? When CRMs first came out, we were one of the first ones for this industry. And it was this whole new thing. It was like you had to get people to actually understand what it was before you could actually sell what it did, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a bit of a challenge. And I think you guys are kind of running into that at this point of like getting people to realize what it is. What we found through that is we had to have somebody that was quote unquote like the champion, right? Like this person that truly believed in it, that was like going to own it and make sure that thing happened. Are you finding that with this is like, hey, at that company, somebody has to like take ownership of this, that, hey, we're going to spend the money on it. We better make sure it works. Are you finding that with your experience?
Yeah. So you're talking about the contractors themselves? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because contractors buy the cool, shiny thing all the time, right? Like we're good at selling that to them. But
Yeah.
that cool, shiny thing can actually be a really cool thing. It doesn't have to be like shiny and on to the next thing if somebody owns it. I noticed that the people that were the most successful with AccuLinks are the ones that really dug in. They learned what it could do. They had people that were doing various pieces of it to make sure that it got off the ground. But somebody, one individual, ultimately owned the success or failure of that thing. Are you guys finding that in the companies that you're working with? Is like sometimes it's the owner, sometimes it's probably a marketing person, somebody along those lines, maybe a web designer. There's somebody there that's going, we're going to do this thing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's typically a marketing or a web designer, or even sometimes even a sales manager that's kind of overseeing it. Number one, making sure it's optimized, because we do release updates every 2 weeks. So we do updates twice a month where we're releasing new features. So just making sure, and we usually send an email out letting them know what those new features are so they can go in there and make sure that they're using all the possible new features. So yeah, somebody has to own it. So we always tell them this. When we do a demo with somebody, we say, you can't just buy it, slap it on your website, and expect it to perform. Like it's not going to work. Like you have to be able to go in there and optimize it. Somebody has to own it. When you have pricing updates, someone has to go update the pricing, which recently it seems like it's been like monthly, they keep increasing prices. But so somebody has to essentially own it and be able to go in there and keep it updated and kind of make sure that everything's looking good. And also if it's a marketing person, that to make sure that they're driving the correct traffic there. So every company may be different as far as how they're going to own it or who's going to own it. But yes, somebody definitely has to be the champion or own this, because again, you can't just put it on there and expect it to, perform. You got to push people towards it, and you got to do things with it to keep it optimized.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking about the door hanger thing. A lot of companies do the door knocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think mine would start off with your quote is ready. Hit the QR code, and they go in and do their quote. I think it'd be something really simple like that. And this idea that it's already ready, like, hey, it's sitting there just waiting for you to grab, I think would be maybe a good approach. While we were at the conference, we also talked about like, well, why wouldn't I just find the ideal neighborhood and go do every house there and then go to them and say, hey, here it is. It's done. It's ready for you. I think there's some opportunities there that, man, you could really leverage this technology to up the game on the amount of people that convert into opportunities. So let's talk about that for a second. Somebody fills it out. They, they put their information in. Are you finding a difference between that and the traditional marketing stuff that gets a lead for me or a door knock or whatever in closing ratios?
Yeah, I would say, a little bit. This consumer, I would say, if you set an appointment with this consumer, the closing ratios are way higher because you know that they're interested. They've already seen a price. It comes down to when that lead comes through, if they're going to say, yes, let's set an appointment. Let's talk about this project, or it's like, no, it's outside of my budget. So I think that's really what it comes down. It really eliminates the tire kickers that are out there because they've already seen some sort of price. And so when you call them or try to set an appointment or do a virtual call with them or whatever, they're going to say, yes, come out. I've seen a price. I'm interested. I want to get this done. Or no, it's more than I thought. And, I still need 6 months to save. So there's kind of two different parts there, right? So traditional, maybe their set rate, right, might be this number because, you're not showing them a price. You're basically just saying you're interested, let us come out. So yeah, the set rates might be down a little bit because again, you're going to eliminate some of those tire kickers, but essentially the closing rate is going to rise because by the time that you get out there, they know what they're spending. They're well aware as far as what they're going to be spending for this project. And so, yeah, I would definitely say in the end, the closing rate is going to be higher. But yeah, some of your other rates might be lower, but that's why they have to be able to watch it. Like you said, a champion that's owning it, because these leads or, contacts may be treated a little bit differently than maybe the other ones that you may have, because again, there might be a lower this, but a significantly higher this. So, but yeah, definitely there.
Yeah, like I think 100% of people would do a Google search, right? Or at least really close to 100. 95% of people would do a Google search. Not a lot of people would go out to look for a quote thing because they don't even know it exists, right? So that's not something that they're used to. And technology is growing in its usage, like us taking the burden off. We're busy. We're looking for way. Like, dude, I will never, ever walk into a Walmart again. I'll pay the same price or more on Amazon to just get it to my door so I don't have to deal with the people at Walmart, right? But that's not everybody. Do you guys have some kind of percentage of people that you think will use this technology versus people that won't?
Yeah. So again, we're not saying that the in-person sale is going to go away, right? That's never going to happen, right? So it's more or less it's the convenience of the younger generation that's coming up that's going to utilize this. It's another stream of revenue for your business, essentially being able to have your website working for you 24 hours a day. So we actually are digesting a lot of analytics right now currently with this, and end of this month, actually, we're going to be releasing analytics. So we'll have a lot of data as far as, customers, age of customers and things like that, where we can really analyze it and say, here's where we're at, and really look at that data and see it. So, it's hard to say right now. We believe.
My gut would tell me that it would skew younger that is doing this, because they're looking for things like this. I got too busy. I need to get this off my plate.
Yeah. So when we did Roofle and sold directly to consumers, it was right. I would say it was our customers. 80% of our customers were between 29 and 49. Right. So the kind of the younger generation. Right. So yeah. So they were the kind of the younger ones, the more ones that are apt to technology. Right. So those were the ages that that mostly did it. So our guts telling us, as it goes more and more, was that we see. In 5 years from now, we are predicting right around 20 to 30% of sales of roofs to be online. That's what we're looking at, because of just basically the consumer that are coming up, and the more mass adoption that we have to this with contractors, the more relevant it becomes, right? You look at Amazon, what percentage of sales happen through Amazon compared to when they first rolled out, right? So that's kind of really what we look at. It just comes down to contractors adopting it and homeowners knowing about it to know that it's actually an option. And then that's where it takes off, as far as more people just saying that it's kind of a normal thing that they do.
So you've given us a little look into the future, right? About 5 years, we're thinking 25, 30% of people truly purchasing online, or just initiating the conversation online because they have a quote?
Purchasing online. So as we roll out, e-commerce, right, and we talk about financing and all those other pieces as far as buying online, like we did, right? We, direct to consumer buying online. That's really what we're talking about. I would think that getting an instant quote is probably going to be possibly as high as 50%. If there's that much mass adoption, it's just a thing you do now, right? Go there, get
what I do.
Approximate
anything I'm
price.
looking at, I'm looking at, hey, can I get at least a ballpark number so I can know where I'm at, and does that fit in my budget or not? Then I'm going to go, okay, what all the add-ons going to be that I really want, that type of thing versus need. And I do a lot of that already, whether it's, I've been looking at buying this, it's called a Flycraft boat. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. It's for fly fishing down rivers and stuff. But there's like the base version, and I can get a quote on that. But then, hey, add on this, add on that. And I see a lot of that. Like, you've got this base thing. It's this price, but I want to add this thing, or I want to add that thing, or I want to add this thing. And you start adding and subtracting and getting to what fits you and solves your problem. Is it going to be able to facilitate some of that kind of thought process in the future?
Exactly right. So we call that what we call our checkout process, is what that's called. So like basically you look at your different upgrades that you have. So as you click on different options, it's going to increase the price. So by the time you get down to the end, you're like, okay, it started at 16, but as I answered these questions and I wanted these upgrades, now I'm, up to, 20. Right. So yes, that's the thing that we would look at as far as like giving the consumer options, for the different upgrades that they want. And so that's where we say like at least 50%, because at that point, you're going there, you have a really, really strong knowledge as far as what this price is going to be, because you're able to go there and look at all the different add-ons or upgrades that you're actually able to have. And then they change obviously in real time. So yeah, that's definitely a future feature that we're coming out with. Yeah.
So can we talk about how much it costs? Is that something that we can talk about online, or do you want to like wait till they do a demo? Yeah. That's cool with me too. Either way.
No, we can talk about it. Yeah, absolutely. We're very transparent.
Well, there's something that's like triggering in my head, and I'm like, okay, how do I justify this? Right. So what does it cost for a year?
So $5,500 for the year that's unlimited. So that's our year plan. So basically you buy the year in advance, which obviously locks in your price, for that year. $5,500. We have other options too. It's kind of more of a flexible
It means
option.
I got to generate 55 leads.
There you go. 55
That's
leads
what it
up for
comes
the whole
down
year.
to. It's $100 a lead. The average lead cost right now is about $285 through all of our data research and stuff like that across all the different mechanisms out there. I figure you got another $50 per one of those leads into advertising and stuff like that. So maybe it's 150. Still makes absolute sense, right? So I got to generate a few more leads, maybe 60, 65. Seems like almost a no-brainer to me. And I'm looking at them going, this is just going to become a part of our coaching. We're like, okay, you're a client with us. This is one of the things that we're going to put on your website, but we've already pre-built out your landing pages. We understand about price conditioning and some of those things. Because I think one of the things that a lot of people would miss is, and why people would leave, is they put in the number and they go, holy crap, that's way more than I expected. I'm out, right? But the reality is they can't be out because they need to get something done. That's just a fact. They got to get it done. Whoever they ask are going to be in that same ballpark. So what I have to do first, I have to establish what the mean number is for my market. And so we actually have some tools that we can actually help people do that and probably add right to that landing page where they would see, hey, this is where it is right now in our market. Let's compare what it actually is. Get your quote. Boom. Oh, man, it's lower. That's awesome. And so you've now conditioned them to go, I was expecting it to be this high number, but it was actually a lower number. I got a lot of ideas on how to apply this to our coaching and really help our contractors do some pretty awesome stuff.
But even speed to lead, right? We talk about speed to lead, right? Whenever we demo, a contractor, we talk about those things, right? How it can work in their business. So if you are able as a contractor to call somebody within 30 seconds and get their information, more than likely, if they're even trying to bounce off your website because they saw a price, you're going to call them while they're still on there. And now you're having a conversation with somebody who's physically looking at your website right now. So we talk about a lot of those things, like what you talked about, right?
Hey, I noticed you're about to bounce off my website right after you looked at the price. Like that would freak me out a little bit. I mean, it's kind of cool too, right? You get this opportunity to talk to them. Yeah, that is a big concept, and you're almost taking this speed to lead thing out of the equation because if you look at the lead aggregators, and we'll mention a few of them like Home Advisor and stuff like that, we all hate them, but one of the concepts there is how fast, like that lead comes in. I mean, it's got to be immediate and you got to hold them online as long as you can, because there's 900 other people trying to call them and get them too. This kind of takes that out of the equation because they went, hey, I want to get my quote. You got a quote, bam, set an appointment. Let's meet. And there isn't necessarily really speed to lead. It's already happened. It's almost instantaneous. I think that's huge.
Yeah, that's essentially, it's a lead that's strictly just to you. Like that's it. There is not 5 other contractors calling them immediately like we're used to with other lead, companies. I mean, it's only just them or your company. So that speed to lead part of it doesn't really come into the equation because we always talk about try to call them as fast as possible while they're available, because if you wait 5-10 minutes, who knows, maybe they picked up the phone, they're talking to somebody else, or they had to leave, or whatever it may be. But at that moment in time, as it comes in there, they're on your website, so they are available for a phone call. But yeah, like you said, they're exclusive leads, like they're only yours because they submitted their information on your website and nobody else's, right? So yeah, it's the exclusive lead, for that contractor for sure.
I got two more.
What's the value on that?
Yeah, that's huge, right? Like, it's just mine. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I got 2 more questions.
Yeah.
I'm in Dallas. Everybody in Dallas is going to want this. Is there a limit to the number of contractors that can be using Roofquote Pro?
Yeah. So when we did our launch, we did limit the markets just to try to obviously build up urgency, right? So a lot of the markets, yes, there is a limitation on them. So they vary anywhere from 3 to 3 to 12, I think, is the highest. So yes, there is limitations on some of these markets. But as of, it was only a 6 months basically that we gave it to them, like basically, hey, we're going to give you guys 6 months to get this tool will only allow this many contractors in your market, so you can get a head start on everybody else. And then once they're full, they're full. But we're going to open that up. I believe it's end of February, beginning of March is when that time is up. And then we open it up to a limited amount of contractors in each market. But until that point in time, there are some that have limitations on them to where there's only so many allowed per market.
So I understand the strategy now, I think. I have to have this on my website in order to compete with the rest of the people in my market. Was that a fair understanding?
It's a fair assessment. Yes, fair understanding.
Okay. I always like to get to like what's the hidden gem behind the scenes, right? And if you really think about it, that applies to a lot of things. Well, how many contractors have to have a Facebook page now? Like all of them do. Everybody's got a Facebook page, and there's time and resources that go to that cost you money to make that thing happen. Same thing with an Instagram and all the other stuff that we've got going on. And I can name off 50 tools like that. I got to have Company Cam because everybody else has Company Cam, right? So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I actually think that's a good thing. That makes it an expected thing. The homeowner's expecting at some point in the future that when I go onto a contractor's website, I can get a quote now. That works great for you guys, like if you're the leading edge of that, but it also becomes the expectation. And so it becomes a tool that I need to have in my tool bag. And if I'm not up on the game, I'm not up on technology, I'm not thinking with a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset that I hate this technology thing. I think you can really position yourself in a good way. Any more to that strategic tip? Because I'm sure you get some flack, right? Like, hey, you guys got Roofle over here doing that thing, and then you got RoofQuote Pro over here. All you're trying to do is get my stuff so you can go sell them. Are you getting any of that?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, right? They're like, so everyone's a little bit confused. Like, what is this company, right? What is going on? What is Roofle? What have they done? And everyone gets kind of a different perception. So that's really the thing that we're pushing out there now to try to get people to understand as far as who we are, what our identity is, and where we're going for the future. And so again, we did the sale to homeowners to go out there and say like, hey, we did it. It can be done. We are a no name. Imagine your company being 20 years old with all these reviews. You have a bunch of trust. We had no trust and we were able to do it, right? So that's really what it came down to as far as doing that. And then now we launched RoofQuote Pro, and so that's the product made by obviously Roofle. And we have other products we're going to be launching here in the very near future other than RoofQuote Pro as we venture into other territories with our technology. But so with that being said, obviously, like I said, we move into, the finance space is what's next as far as the consumer getting financed. And we kind of go down the line, from there. But we have no intention of going back to sell roofs. Like that's not our intention. Our intention is to be here for the contractor, to get the technology, in the hands of the contractor. So that's the biggest message that we're trying to push out there is that we have no intention of going back to sell roofs.
Seems like a technology that has to be adopted at some point in order to offer the homeowner what they expect, which makes it more predictable and also quite a bit lower overhead than having a bunch of salespeople and all that stuff and staying after hours and that type of thing. I don't know. I think that's pretty smart. Well done. That's super cool. Anything you want to leave these contractors with as we close? I think you answered all my major questions. I think I understand it now. I get the intent behind it, which I think is really cool. Anything you want to leave them with?
No, I mean, I want to appreciate having me on today, and doing this because again, we are all about getting the word out and people understanding like what we are, where we're going, and really what our intent is, down the road as far as getting this technology out there. But we did create a special coupon code for all your listeners.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
You can't forget about the coupons.
Yeah, tell them all about it.
Right? Yeah, so we have a coupon code. So it's CR250. So that's CR250 is the code. So when you go on and to roofquotepro.com is the website where you can go on there and number one, either book a demo or you can just go ahead and buy the technology directly from the website itself. But that's roofquotepro.com. That's where you can go on there and do it. But yeah, so once you're able to go on there and sign up for that, you're going to be able to enter a coupon code, and that coupon code would be again CR250. And what that's going to get you $250 off of your purchase.
So now I get it for
that's what
$52.50. I got to generate 52 leads and a half. So to justify it, which I think based on the other guy, 803 months, I think we're doing good. I think we're going to be okay. Gets my cost of lead way down. Like that's always a big thing. We talk about how companies are profitable. How do we make our company more profitable? And there's one of two ways to do it. Either reduce cost or raise price. That's how you create margin. And this sounds like something that's going to reduce cost quite a bit. And maybe because it's unique and different, at least here early on, a way to charge a little more. Like, hey, I've got some technology that nobody else has. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. I'm super excited to see what it does. I'm super excited really to kind of incorporate it into what we do. We are able to help contractors kind of put all these pieces together and literally like give them contractor in a box from the marketing side of things. You were at our conference. I kind of laid it out, the finance options and all the things that we have to do. How do they all tie together and work together? And it's neat to have them, but how do you optimize them and get the most out of them? That's where we're really key to that, like laying out those sales pages. We kind of know how to do that. We got a champion marketing coach. This guy's really good. And so I'm excited about what the opportunity is there working together. So coupon code CR250, just in case you didn't know, CR stands for Contractor Radio. CR250. Save yourself $250. Go to Roofle. RoofQuotePRO.com.
Pro.
Yep.
Yes.
There's a QR code up there. Best thing about the pandemic, we all know how to use QR codes now. So
that's right.
You guys
are
watching this?
Right there, QR code. You can scan that and get there too.
You can tell a technology company, they always have the QR code up there. And check it out. It's worth your time to at least do the investigation. Go meet with them and see how it works and see what that onboarding looks like. We're not going to lie to you. It takes a little time to get it on board and all, and we got to put some pricing in. We got some things we got to do, but if it gets my cost of lead down, man, I'm all about it. Find that champion to do it. That'd be great. Travis, it's been an honor having you on Contractor Radio today. Thank you for introducing us to Roofle as well as Roof Quote Pro, and excited to see where this thing goes. I think you guys got something.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right. Hey, I'm going to put you in agreement. Hang out for just a minute if you don't mind, and I'll close out the show and we'll come back. All right, cool. All right, everybody. That was Travis Harvego with Roofle and their product, Roof Quote Pro for contractors, a widget that you can embed in your website that's going to give you something that you can create more leads with. We gave you like 15 golden nuggets in there on how to actually do that. You can come back and actually watch this podcast if you want to go through those things and incorporate them whenever you hop on Roof Quote Pro and get it on your website, because it is the way things are going. We can't just sit here and deny that things are going this way, that technology is going this way, that big purchases are happening online. I think that's an absolute. I don't think that's something that's not going to happen. So my job is to get on board and get it figured out. You need help getting it figured out? That's what we do here at Contractor Coach Pro. We help you not only figure it out, but we help you optimize it. So if you're interested in talking with us about some coaching, you're on a mission to achieve something and you need some guides to help you along the way, think of us as like a board of directors in every aspect of your business: leadership, culture, process, HR, finance, accountability, marketing, technology, sales, recruiting, production, training. We cover all the bases. We have specialist coaches in each of those areas to help you achieve your mission for the coming year. So ContractorCoachPRO.com, click on book a call, talk with one of our coaches. We'll do a free assessment for you if you like. There's a free assessment button on there to tell you a little bit more about your company, where you may have some holes, and we're here to fill in the gaps and help you do some pretty amazing things and achieve your dreams. Thank you once again for hanging out with us on Contractor Radio. We look forward to our next episode. We'll see you then.